When I started, there was no Photoshop. If you were doing color work, you had to like cut halftones and crap like that. Even photocopying didn't exist for people like before that. And certainly graphic design, my God, moving type around and crap like that. I mean, certainly an animator who loves traditionally animating, they would not be happy about it. And they can probably spot AI animation, You're welcome to replace, if we're willing to be replaced by this stupid shit, then you're welcome to it. I don't think anybody should have to go to school for 10 years to learn a thing just to get an idea out of their head. Production's a nightmare.
Hello and welcome to Prolific Perspectives. This is Kamal Hassan, your host and founder of Prolific Animation Studio. We are all about exploring innovation, entrepreneurship, and how to be successful. Today we have an amazing guest with us, Christopher. Hey Christopher, how are you?
All right, how are you?
Pretty good. So Christopher, please give your brief introduction to our audience so they'll know more about you.
Well, I'm best known under the pseudonym Jackson Public as the creator of the Venture Brothers. That's, I guess, my most successful and only self-created project. Yeah, which the pilot premiered in 2003. Season one premiered in 2004. Our last season was 2018, and we did a special or a movie or whatever you want to call it a couple of years ago.
Great.
In between, I did a few other things, but yeah.
So what about you began with your career in comics, some in shows, The Tick, and you name it, the PB and J Otter, Sheep in the Big City, Superjail, Grim and Evil, Celebrity Deathmatch. So
yeah,
a lot.
I mean, to say I started in comics is a little bit untrue. I was never a prolific comic person, and I wasn't that good, but I really wanted to be a comic book writer and artist, and kind of self-published a book when I was I guess about 18, 19. And through promoting that at a New York comic convention, I met Ben Edlund right around the time that he was about to start the Tick animated series. So he was keeping an eye out for artists who could write and draw a Tick spin-off book, because I think he knew that he was going to be off doing this show for like a year or something, and he New England Comics wanted to publish some stuff in between. So I ended up, getting friendly with him and getting a gig to write one of the first Tick spin-offs. And so that, just meeting and talking about that, we became friendly, and he got to know my sensibility, and I got to know what he was up to. And then he was off for months. I was doing that, but at some point, I guess maybe the Tick was going to be like a mid-season thing or something. They were only going to do like six episodes or something, and then he got the call like, "No, we're going to premiere it next fall, and we want 13 episodes." And he asked me if I wanted to write one.
Wow.
So I got into animation. Yeah, and I was still in college, so it was kind of amazing. I was in college and broke, and an animation television script, like you could live off that for like a year when you're in college.
Yeah. So that was the first start. Like you started with the comics, writing, and animation. So from the college, so that's how you started, right?
Yeah. And I was doing like a comic strip in my school newspaper and stuff for like 2 or 3 years. So I was, was always writing and drawing. Yeah, but my only, the self-published comic, and then the Tick is kind of my only like professional comic work, I guess. I wrote like 4 issues of that. I drew one of them, drew the covers for all, I think. And then I had to bail because I got the gig writing the animated show.
Great. So your debut was the comic Seven Shows. What did you remember most clearly from creating that, and how it led to the Tick?
I mean, like I said, it led to the Tick because I just ran into Ben Edlund at a comic convention. But that was I was in high school when I came up with that character, and I would do little like 2-page stories, and I really, really wanted to be a
Uh-huh.
comic. I worked in a comic book shop all through high school and the beginning of college. And
Uh-huh.
I was going to go to I did in fact go to the Joe Kubert School of Cartoon and
Mm-hmm.
Graphic Art for two
Mm-hmm.
days, and then I
Mm-hmm.
quit. Um, and
Uh-huh.
my boss at the comic shop was felt bad. He was like, he didn't want to see me give up on my dream, and I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. I just didn't think the school was the right fit for me at the right time. And so I started submitting this like 4-page sample of Cement Shoes to a bunch of indie comic publishers, and like, you know what? If nobody wants it, I'll put it out. And so, we formed a little
Mm-hmm.
publishing company, and we
So
put
were there any early mentors or shows that were especially important to your voice as a writer?
I don't know. I mean, God, nothing specific. It's just all such a like a gumbo of everything I grew up, from Monty Python to James Bond, and like
Oh.
uh,
Okay.
Bugs Bunny obviously is huge.
Obviously.
Costello, the Pink Panther
Those are
movies.
like the
You know,
inspirations for,
yeah.
the epic shows, the great shows, evergreen shows, Bugs Bunny, the Pink Panther. So everyone remembers and everyone, took an inspiration from those shows. So, great.
Yeah.
So you pitched the Venture Bros twice before it landed at Adult Swim. What kept you coming back to that idea?
Immodestly, yeah, I knew it was good. I
Uh,
I had written a pilot script that I was really happy with. I mean, you know, I'm I'm pretty shy and modest most of the time, but like if I have a really good idea I believe in, like you can't tell me it's not good. Like I think I have decent enough taste. But I, when I wrote that pilot, it just kind of hit me in a very quick burst of inspiration and creativity. I had messed around with these characters for a while, like intending to do them as a comic thing, because at the time,
mm-hmm.
uh, all the guys I was working with at Jumbo Pictures, we all got together and put out a comics anthology called Monkey Suit. And
Uh-huh.
I guess we would do that once a year or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had done like a 4-pager and a 6-pager, and I really wanted to, I had a lot of notes for Venture Brothers ideas, and I wanted to do a story for that, but
Uh-huh.
um, I didn't think my drawing was up to snuff when we first started publishing, and then by the time we got to
Uh-huh.
like second issues, I was a little more confident in my hand. By then, my story had gotten too big, and I would start a new one, and um,
Mm-hmm.
but at the time, I was pitching an idea based on a comic strip I did in college, that
Mm-hmm.
a friend and I would kind of like, we would come up with the scenarios together, and I would go off and write and draw it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the two of us were trying to pitch it to Comedy Central. And
Mm-hmm.
we had had like 2 meetings with them, and they liked it and they liked us, but they were
Mm-hmm.
about to say no. And when they did, they said, "Do you have anything else?" And like just that week, I had gotten the bright idea to start typing my Venture Brothers notes into a screenplay
Uh-huh.
program instead of thinking of it as a comic.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew exactly what the voice was. I was cracking
Mm-hmm.
myself up. It was all coming very quickly. I was working full time, and I would just come home and just type at night. And I wrote
Mm-hmm.
it in like 4 or 5 days. And they asked this
Oh.
question on like day 2 or 3. And I was
Oh.
like, yes, I do have something else. And it's better than
Uh-huh.
this thing I've been pitching to you. And
Uh-huh.
can I give it to you on Monday? So I was really confident in it. I really liked it. I really felt like I had found
Uh-huh.
my voice and found something real
Uh-huh.
specific, original, and I knew the script was funny. Like I knew it kind of sold itself. I didn't have any artwork yet or anything for it. And
Mm-hmm.
my concept of it was a little different at the time.
Okay.
I
Uh-huh.
think not the basic concept of the show, but like the delivery of it. I think I had imagined it being a little bit more tongue in cheek, a lot more retro. Like I in my mind, oh, you can make it fast and cheap. it'll look shitty on purpose, like like Spider-Man cartoons from the 60s,
Yeah.
because I was doing this retro thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and little by little, I shed that idea because it seemed a little like kitschy and a little bit like at that point, it was like, it's kind of been done already. I'm not a big fan of like bad on purpose,
Mm-hmm.
that's good for a joke, but not for a show to me. I mean, although there's plenty of shows that have that aesthetic that work really well. Wasn't for
Uh-huh.
me much. And they read it and they were like, "Oh, it's funny, but we think the retro thing would get old pretty fast."
Oh.
So that was pitch number one. Um, and then I sort of temporarily moved out to LA because The Tick got turned into a live action show for Fox. And
Yeah.
when I landed here, I got an agent, and he shopped my Venture Brothers script around a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And the Worldbuilding Studios actually optioned it for a little
Oh.
while, which is weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went up
Yeah.
to Portland and visited their studio and stuff like that. It
Uh-huh.
turned out I had a friend who worked there, but yeah, they
Uh-huh.
were like starting a CG department, and they were like, "Oh, we could see this as a
Okay.
CG thing, and maybe like for
Mm-hmm.
HBO or something." And I was like, "I'm not into CG," but then they showed me their reel, and it was like gorgeous, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
"Ooh,
Wow.
it would be much more subversive to make something snarky and and
Uh-huh.
silly and have it be gorgeous than it would
Mm-hmm.
be to have it be crappy on purpose. And I was like, all right, I'm in. And then it didn't, nothing really happened from there. And then, I was out here for about a year, and then the tick came and went. And in
So
that time, I
during that year time you were there, so what were the most challenging part when you were actually there for the whole year?
writing the tick show. I mean, that was a wow, that was a true production. It was a lot of fun, but it
Uh-huh.
was also, I mean, I really learned how to work. I think I learned how to write on the first Tick cartoon, but I learned how to like really write professionally and work and
Uh-huh.
just not sleep and have to hit deadlines on the Tick live action show because that
Uh-huh.
was a mess.
Uh-huh.
That was a
So how
grueling
how
experience, but
uh,
I met Patrick Warburton on that thing, and
oh, okay.
had a girlfriend, and I was working with Ben and Randolph and Richard, who were other writers from the cartoon days. So,
Uh-huh.
we had a good time, but we had a miserable time also.
So how do you balance comedy, action, and character emotion in a show that leans so heavily into genre parody?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of don't know how not to
Uh-huh.
try to do that.
Uh-huh.
I think there's a lot of stuff that Venture Brothers did that wasn't being done in other shows much at the time. I think it's much more common now to do like dramedy and to do to invest in these characters and also to do like serialized stories instead of just one-off sitcom, re hit the reset button at the end of the episode and stuff. But it's like, well, I don't know how not to do that. Like at some point you just
Uh-huh.
you st I mean, it plays on all my loves and joys.
Uh-huh.
And I'll go back to the Pink Panther. I cited the Pink Panther as an
Uh-huh.
influence. Like that was like an early
Yeah.
example that
Mm-hmm.
parody is possible. I'm a little kid and I'm seeing one of those movies and I'm like, wait, so they're kind of making fun of like, James
Uh,
Bond or detective things, and like you can do that, you know. Um, even Monty Python was that like you can do King Arthur, but you can make it
uh-huh.
funny. So that was a revelation of it. But I,
Uh-huh.
I was also a lover of genuine action, and to go back to
Yeah.
comic books, you asked me who like my one of my influences was like a Frank
Yeah.
Miller, like I was
Uh-huh.
super into the Frank Miller comics, which are,
Okay.
dead serious, but they're so cool, like all his old Daredevil stuff and obviously Dark Knight. Um,
Uh-huh.
so, I probably started by parodying that voice. Cement Shoes was
Uh-huh.
definitely that. Oh, it's a gritty, you know,
Uh-huh.
mid to late 80s superhero thing, but it's ridiculous, because I was also reading The Flaming Carrot at the time. And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I was reading like Matt Groening's comic strips and stuff. And so I just had I kind of have an attitude about life where I don't take anything too seriously, or that
Uh-huh.
there's something funny about everything. And I think what I learned
Uh-huh.
after applying that to a show that went for so long and had so many characters,
Mm-hmm.
you start to invest in the characters and you start to realize that one of the best sources of humor is
Mm-hmm.
relatable pathos or something like that. You put your
Yeah.
characters through the ringer, but you feel bad for them, you sympathize with them,
Uh-huh.
and you try to have them succeed in their failure by being okay about it. Um, so I think
Another
that's how we did it. Like I couldn't resist my urge to
uh-huh.
do a actual cool action scene, and I couldn't resist
Uh-huh.
my urge to make fun of everything or to
Uh-huh.
find the bit of tragedy in things that are supposed to be, like, oh, what's really
Uh-huh.
sad about the Fantastic Four? It would be a nightmare to have that happen to you. Um,
Uh-huh.
things like that. And then you goof on it, but then you love them and yeah. If you can hit on something that people can actually relate to, there's the jackpot. And so, Doc and I both, like, we draw so much from our own like childhoods and our
Uh-huh.
insecurities and our anxieties and stuff like
Uh-huh.
that. And it
Uh-huh.
turns out we all got
Uh-huh.
them. So, people relate and like it.
So if you were this, you just mentioned about the people. So many people compare the Venture Bros to the Tick, Archer, Harvey, Birdman, Rick and Morty. What do you think about those comparisons? Do any of them feel accurate or useful?
Absolutely. We have a lot in common with every one of those things. Obviously, I got a lot of tick DNA in me, so that one makes sense. Um, Archer, Archer's just leaning into the spy aspect of a lot of the stuff that I do.
Uh-huh.
Rick and Morty is like the super science we do, like cranked up to 11.
Uh-huh.
They're all valid comparisons. I think those are all good shows.
Uh-huh.
We just have different focuses in what each of us do, but we're all, you're naming a bunch of shows that are created by guys of my generation, and so we have
Yeah.
some zeitgeistian stuff in common. We are
Uh-huh.
speaking the same pop cultural language, and
Uh-huh.
some of us have slightly different touchstones, but
Uh-huh. All right.
you know.
So, what non-animated films, books, or genres unexpectedly shaped your voice as a writer? For example, fantasy, 70s cinema, horror, or spy
Oh,
fiction.
oh God, man, all of it. um, I named a bunch already. James Bond, Pink Panther, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Train Spotting, Rear Window. Like these are like my favorite movies ever. Silence of the Lambs, um, North by Northwest. Uh, God, I mean, every movie I've ever watched, obviously, The Man Who Would Be
Okay.
King, Godfather, Dog Day
Yeah.
Afternoon, Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3. Like, yeah. And I always tried to shoot the Venture Brothers kind of like a 70s movie. Like that was
Uh-huh.
that was an approach to it in terms of like storyboarding and stuff like that. So those 70s movies, I was probably big on my 70s movie kick when we started the show, so that was already there, and obviously a lot of 60s stuff.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then books, my God.
Uh-huh.
Watership Down. That was a big one for me. I was a big Paul Auster fan. I went through beat phase, as everybody does in their 20s or their late teens or whatever. Um, but I'm not I was never a huge, and still am not a huge reader of fiction, you know.
Okay.
So I take a lot of inspiration from. I'm just I love history,
Uh-huh.
um, and I have this childlike approach to it, which is very Venture Brothers. This is why Hank is
Uh,
me. Like I read history and think of it in terms of these like comic book
mm-hmm.
kind of relationships of these major players, and
Uh-huh.
um it's so I've drawn a lot of inspiration from that, and it's one of the things we always did in Venture Brothers, and I guess in the Tick to some extent, like
Yeah.
making fantastical things mundane and making mundane things epic.
Too. Epic.
That's what we
Yeah.
do. Like, oh, Dean's got a little medical problem, and that's a epic story.
Yeah.
Whereas murder and and villainy and flying airships are matter of fact, and there's bored henchmen, just who have to keep the lights on and stuff.
So you have built a career on very human character driven writing with layered humor and long from emotional arcs. When you look at today's rise in AI tools, what part of the creative process do you think is the hardest for AI to replicate?
I don't I'm really I've really kind of put my head in the sand about AI stuff. Like, I don't want to admit it's happening. Let's face it, I've there's a lot of things going on in the world that I feel that way about, that I'm like, I don't want to hear about it anymore. Uh, so I don't know. I want to think that AI can't really write. I don't know. I think AI to me, can only imitate or reprocess what's come before, you know?
Okay.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's my suspicion. I don't know much about it, but and granted, that's what all artists do. All musicians, all artists, all scientists
Uh-huh.
for that matter. Like, you're building on things that came before.
Yeah.
You have a very specific um, set of tastes and associations, et cetera, that will combine those things in a way that I
Uh-huh.
presume AI won't, and you will also add something totally new to it. And I don't AI can imitate, I assume, um, the way other artists have presented emotions and thoughts and philosophies and stuff like that, but they're never it AI doesn't understand it. AI doesn't necessarily understand what buttons it's pushing, you know.
Uh-huh.
Whereas Steven Spielberg very much does.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, AI can't understand why a color or a musical instrument gives you a certain feeling, that you
Right.
have an emotional
Uh-huh.
reaction to it.
Uh-huh.
Um, but it can imitate the way people have used those things before, and maybe it can, analyze, you know, how people react to it. But I just, obviously it can't truly connect. And
So do you think AI will go on that certain level where it will replace humans?
I don't know. I mean,
That's not gonna happen
if
because
it
AI
if
will
it
help.
can
It
or
won't
it does,
replace us. Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to live in that world anyway. You're welcome to replace. If we're willing to be replaced by this stupid shit, then you're welcome to it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, to be like nihilist or whatever, but um,
I don't think so. AI is gonna
so
get to
dumb
that
that anybody
level
even
where
wants
it.
this crap. I don't understand what it is,
Mm-hmm.
and to me, it's like
Uh-huh.
it's it's the jocks and the bullies and the billionaires like winning again. It's people who don't have a creative spark going, I want in on this thing. It's like it's so stupid that,
Uh-huh.
it's being
Uh-huh.
used to replace. people who never wanted their jobs replaced, like there's
Uh-huh.
probably plenty of jobs that are miserable and nobody really
Uh-huh.
wants to do. It'd be great to have robots and AI do. We all really liked drawing and painting and writing, and it's only people who couldn't do that or wouldn't invest the time in that who
Uh-huh.
resent it and go, no, let's monetize this and force it on everybody. I don't know.
So do you think
I
being an
think you'll
artist,
always know.
would it be helpful for you? Do you think being an artist and a producer, a creator, do you think AI will actually help people like you, me, and other artists and talent available? Or it's actually gonna, destroy everything and change the, change everything in the industry?
Uh,
Because my
little of both.
perspective, it's
Little
gonna
of
help
both. I mean,
us.
it can't destroy it
Yeah,
unless it helps us first. I mean, that's the like
absolutely.
devil. That's the devil's
Yeah,
bargain. So,
yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, I have different feelings about it. Like sometimes I go, well,
Yeah.
is it just another tool? Is it streamlining
Uh-huh.
a part of the process that maybe some
Mm-hmm.
people enjoyed, but put it this way, like when I started, there was no Photoshop, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Cutting and pasting was literally cutting and pasting. If you were doing color work, you had to like cut
Yeah.
Rubylith and halftones and crap like that.
Uh-huh.
Um, even photocopying didn't exist for people like before that, but and certainly graphic design, my God, moving type around and crap like that. So all those things are a little easier to us. We can just pick a font
Uh-huh.
from a thing. Oh, I can make it bigger. I can make it smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Is a certain amount of AI any different from that or different from, the way
Uh-huh.
Flash would provide in-betweens and stuff, or, CG for that matter. Is like,
Uh-huh.
CG artists aren't moving the puppet every frame. So is it
Yeah.
any different from that? I mean, certainly an animator who loves traditionally animating and really has a
Uh-huh.
knack art for that, they would not be happy about it. And they can probably spot AI animation, pretty easily and go, well, there's no nuance to that thing. I don't know. So for real connoisseurs, like AI will never replace a lot of things. It might make the work of a lot of those people a little easier, you know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
get it to do some in-betweens.
Because
Uh,
right now, if I talk about our production line, we have implemented AI in our pipeline, and it is getting helpful for us. So
yeah,
we get basic stuff done from the AI, but still we need an artist, an expert to clean things up and give the feel to the character to,
yeah,
actually make those animations. So 100% agree with you. I have the same perspective. It's not going to replace, it's going to help people who actually want to work. It's going to make their lives easy.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I think people lost a lot of jobs when Flash came along, and certainly the budgets got cut. Um,
Uh-huh.
the year before we made the Venture Brothers pilot, like everybody who made
Mm-hmm.
pilots got like twice as much money to make them as we did to make ours.
Oh, wow.
Like it
Okay.
just there was a thing that happened. Everybody just producers just went, "Oh, you can use Flash now." They didn't really know what
Uh-huh.
the hell they were talking about. But
Uh-huh.
I there is I go back and forth on AI because
Mm-hmm.
first thing I ever saw
Mm-hmm.
that I liked was there was this like photo series where this dude had said who had AI envision
Mm-hmm.
Tron if Jodorowsky made it. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it was gorgeous, and there were there was all these photographs of like this whacked out
Uh-huh.
70s Euro style take on Tron. And I was like, that's awesome. And to make
Mm-hmm.
something like that without AI doing it for you, there's no money in this thing that this guy
Yeah.
made. And he would have had to hire studio space, hire actors, make costumes, do the lighting, do like it would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars just to do this like
Absolutely.
funny, cool, speculative idea. So there's
100%.
something really neat about just being able to have an idea pop into the world, and maybe for people who can't draw or write or make music, they have good ideas. They just don't, I don't think anybody should have to go to school for 10 years to learn a thing just to get an idea out of their head. Um, but we all know it's not going to be used for these beautiful, strange little confections. It's going to be used to put us out of a job and to make lowest common
Uh-huh.
denominator crap. So
So do you think, are there any parts of modern production process that you find especially helpful for writers and showrunners?
I don't know what you mean exactly. Like
Are there any parts
production's a
of
nightmare.
modern
Production is grueling and horrible.
Yeah.
The
Uh-huh.
best thing about production is people who are great at their jobs, you know.
Uh-huh.
Um, and certainly video editing tools are great for production, and
Uh-huh.
computers are great for production.
All right. So
Can
coming to
imagine
my
editing
last
film,
Great. So, coming to my last question, if you could leave one piece of honest advice for the next generation of writers who wants to create character-driven animated stories, what would you want them to hear?
Be original and truthful. um,
Uh-huh.
I would say if you find something funny or interesting, it turns out that odds are somebody
Mm-hmm.
else will. um,
Mm-hmm.
because when we were making our show, we would make some like deep cut, weird jokes that were so specific,
Mm-hmm.
and I never cared if they went over the audience's head because I'm like, they'll get the next joke. It's fine. That one's for us. But it turns out if somebody gets that joke, they are so happy you gave it to them. They're like, I thought I was the only person in the world, you know? And there probably aren't many of them, but there are more than they think. And so, I think when you hit something kind of true and specific, um, people appreciate it. It finds a home in other people's hearts, and they love you for it. Like we were not
Mm-hmm.
a big hit show, and we were not for everybody, but the people who
Mm-hmm.
liked our show love our show. And
Yeah.
I think it's because they knew we shot straight with them.
Great, great. Thank you so
So
much,
yeah,
Christopher, for giving us your valuable time coming to the show. So, thank you for tuning into another episode of Prolific Perspectives. We hope you enjoyed this insightful conversation with Christopher. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Until next time.